All right, everybody, welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're going to Spain.
Oh,
Specifically, we're going to the region of Valencia,
okay.
and this is actually right after a major storm just absolutely tore through the region.
Wow.
So Valencia was just hammered by this severe weather, and we're talking significant damage.
Oh, wow.
Homes, infrastructure, people are reeling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, this isn't just a news story. This is people's lives.
Right.
So King Felipe VI, Queen Letizia, Prime Minister Sanchez, they all go to visit one of the towns that was hit really hard,
Okay.
Paiporta.
To show support.
That was the idea, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
But things didn't exactly go to plan.
Oh.
So let's unpack this whole situation or figure out what went wrong. Why this visit, intended as a show of support, actually ended up kind of igniting this wave of anger and frustration.
I'm interested to hear more.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation. So to get started, can you set the scene for us? Paint a picture of what happened during the storm. How bad was the damage?
Yeah, sure. So this wasn't just a little rain shower.
Right.
This was a brutal storm that just slammed into Valencia.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking incredible force, just a monster of a storm that left a lot of destruction in its wake.
Wow.
You see these pictures of homes, just completely destroyed infrastructure, totally wiped out. I mean, it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I imagine the emotional toll on the community was immense.
Absolutely. People were in shock. They were scared. They were angry.
Makes sense. I mean, in a situation like that, when people have just lost everything, their homes, their sense of security,
Yeah.
there's this feeling of vulnerability and desperation, and then the king and queen and the prime minister show up.
Right.
So what was the purpose of their visit?
Mm.
What message were they hoping to convey?
Well, on the surface, it seems like it was a gesture of solidarity.
Okay.
They wanted to see the damage firsthand, show the people that they cared, offer support, and try to, bring some hope to a very difficult situation.
Right,
here.
like a we're in this together kind of message. But how was that received in Paiporta? I mean, you mentioned that people were already feeling vulnerable and desperate. So how did they react to seeing these high-profile figures arriving in their devastated town?
Well, it was a mixed bag.
Okay.
Some people were genuinely grateful for the visit. They saw it as a sign that their plight was being recognized,
All right.
that help was on the way.
Makes sense.
But a lot of people were angry.
Really?
They felt like the government's response had been too slow, too little, too late.
Oh, wow.
And they saw this visit as a publicity stunt, as, politicians trying to score points in the middle of a tragedy.
So it sounds like there was already this underlying tension, this resentment brewing even before the visit.
Yeah, definitely the situation was already very volatile.
And then things escalated.
Yeah, unfortunately, things took a turn for the worse.
So what happened?
Well, the anger and frustration that had been building just kind of boiled over. People started shouting insults.
Wow.
And then some people started throwing things at the king and queen and the prime minister.
Oh my gosh, that's intense.
Yeah, it was a chaotic scene.
So what were the specific grievances that people were expressing? What was at the heart of their anger?
There were a lot of complaints about the lack of coordination in the aid efforts.
Okay.
People were saying they didn't know where to go for help, that there was a lot of confusion and misinformation.
So it sounds like a breakdown in communication.
Exactly. And also a feeling that the government was more concerned with appearances than actually helping people.
Right. The photo op was more important than actually addressing the real needs of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this highly charged atmosphere, amidst all the anger and chaos, there were reports that Queen Letizia tried to connect with people, listen to their stories, offer comfort. What do you make of that? Was it a genuine attempt at empathy, or did it come across as, too little too late?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, I wasn't there.
Right.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that even in the midst of this very public, very political event, she still tried to connect with people on a human level. Whether it was enough to change people's minds or soothe their anger is another question, but I think it's worth noting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex situation, and it seems like this incident in Paiporta really exposed some deeper issues.
Definitely, this wasn't just about a storm.
Right.
This was about a disconnect between the people and their leaders, a sense that the government is out of touch with the realities of everyday life.
So do you think this incident reflects a broader dissatisfaction with the monarchy or the government as a whole?
I think it's definitely indicative of some deeper tensions within Spanish society.
Oh.
You have the economic crisis, the political polarization, the growing distrust in institutions. It's all kind of bubbling under the surface.
Right.
And this storm, this tragedy in Valencia, it just acted as a
It
catalyst.
brought everything to a head.
Exactly.
So circling back to the original question, what can we learn from this incident in Paiporta about the expectations citizens have of their leaders during times of crisis?
I think it shows that in today's world, in the age of instant communication and social media, traditional displays of leadership just aren't enough. People need to see action. They need to feel like their leaders are truly listening to their concerns, that they're working tirelessly to address their needs.
So it's not just about showing up, it's about taking meaningful action.
Exactly. And it's about communicating effectively.
Right. Keeping people informed, being transparent about the challenges and the solutions.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
In an increasingly interconnected world, how can leaders truly connect with the people they represent, particularly during times of crisis? How do we bridge that gap between those in power and the people they serve?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think it comes down to empathy, truly understanding the experiences and the needs of the people.
Right.
And then translating that understanding into effective action.
So it's a combination of empathy, action, and communication.
Exactly. And a willingness to learn from mistakes.
Like what happened in Paiporta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.